And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. And we have a very first time guest joining us on the Amazon Live platform. We're excited to welcome Adiba Nelson to our program today. She's celebrating her brand new book called Ain't That a Mother? You all see it there. For those who are joining us on the Amazon Live side, we also have the book in the carousel. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it for you guys as well. You all will see it there in print as well as the Kindle edition. Also, we have Adiba's children's book there as well. You see it's on sale right now for only a buck 99 on the Amazon Live side as well. For those who are joining us on Facebook, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, we welcome you all as well. And we also have Yona of Riverchild Media joining us as well. Yona, hello to you. Yona, once again, you brought us another special guest here to Amazon Live. Talk to us a little bit about how you found out about Adiba.
Adiba is special. Adiba is special. I believe, that the universe, brings special people to you just at the right time. And, it was just the right time. Adiba's story, in just our first conversation, it was like instant love and connection and sisterhood and soul connection from the first conversation. The book reads like, two sister friends just trying to work it out, just going through stuff, and I could just see this book as being one where sisters are just all getting together, nodding your head, saying, girl, all of that, crying together, loving up on each other. It's that kind of book. And in addition to that, it brings about, some important conversations, about parenting and parenting of a child who, has some severe disabilities, mommy issues, ooh, especially if you have a strong Caribbean mama and what that looks like, dating, in your 30s and try to figure it out. I mean, there's just so much to glean from this. But what I love about the book is the voice. You feel like this is your friend, your sister, somebody who's going through it and, is standing tall and is sharing the story, with the hope that it's going to really help someone. You'll feel full, after reading it, and you want her to win. You want her to win. You want her daughter to win. And, and that's how I felt. And I'm just so honored and proud to be, working with her and helping her get the story out.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to talk to Adiba more about that. The other thing is, I'm glad you brought up, though, about the way it's written, because I think one thing I noticed, and Adiba, I'm going to talk about you like, look, you're not here for a second. But the thing that I thought about as a reader was she made you feel safe
Yes.
in the way she tells her story, in that you don't feel the guilt that you can sometimes feel when
Yes.
not being able to be what other people think you should be, or you don't
Yes.
feel the need to rush, even when it comes to business and relationships and trying to figure all of that out. Was that also one of the things that kind of stood out to you as a reader?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes we feel like we have to go through this life and get it right.
Hmm.
From the very beginning, like there's certain expectations, especially when it comes to, when you reach a certain age, you're supposed to be married, you're supposed to have it all figured out, you're supposed to have the
Yeah.
whole career thing. And Adiba, just was in that space where she was just trying to figure it out. But, there's the pressures of society, being in your 30s and, having to have this and having to have that. And, and I think, there's a lot of women that are in that same exact space. So as you're reading, you could see, even if you don't identify with the entire story, but I'm sure there are certain parts of it that you can identify. And I'm so glad that you brought up the word safety. That is exactly how I felt. So when I had a reaction to something and I'm reading and I'm reading about her reaction, I'm like, okay, doesn't make me a bad person.
Hmm.
Oh my God, I felt that. Somebody else is feeling it too.
Yeah.
So there's a certain camaraderie that you develop with the diva, just through her writing, even though you don't know, who she is.
Exactly. We're going to bring you back at the end of the segment to talk to us about Riverchild Media and the great things that you're doing there. So definitely stay tuned. So now, Adiba, I can turn my attention directly over to
Hi.
you.
Hello.
Adiba, so let me just say this. When I was prepping for this segment initially, when Yona first told me about you and the book, I watched another interview that you had done before the book came out. And one of the things that I love is how you're willing to take the chance. You did it with your children's book. You've done it now, of course, in telling this story. I want to ask you, how does that feel to see the chance paying off for yourself?
I think it's still settling in. I I yeah, I mean clearly I don't have the words. Next week I'm going to be at the Smithsonian speaking. Like
Mm,
what even is this life? How did I do this? And I know I worked really hard, and I know that it's part hard work, it's part prayer and faith and manifestation. But it feels really good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm allowing myself to finally say that,
yeah,
right? I'd never used to be comfortable saying, I earned this.
right.
Um, but after this past week of doing 5 cities in 5 days, yeah, absolutely. I earned this. I earned this. And it just feels, it's, for me, it's just solidifying the idea that I know I can do anything I put my mind to.
Right. And I think that is the, again, I think what you're allowing others, and particularly women, but I think all of us to be able to know as well. So, Adiba, I think as we're having this conversation about the new book, Ain't That a Mother? I think we have to go back to the children's book, Meet Clarabelle Blue, because one thing that you said in another interview about that, what even led to that book, was having your child being able to see someone like themselves,
Yes.
and how important that representation was for you. So, for people out there who may find themselves in a similar situation, right, where either something with their children or with themselves or someone that they love, and they're looking for something to make that connection, what gave you that courage to even do that? Because there are a lot of times people would just feel like that means that they're not meant to be seen. What gave you the courage to say, if it's not out there, I'm willing to put myself out there and do it myself?
Well, one, I don't like the word no. So there's that. I don't
Okay.
take no very well. But, something you said actually reminded me of something my mother used to say to me all the time. And she said a lot of things to me growing up, a lot of mantras that I actually still carry through. But I remember I grew up in the 80s, and that was around the time of like acid wash jeans, skin tight jeans were the new thing. We call them skinny jeans now.
Mhm.
And I really wanted a pair of acid wash skin tight jeans. And I couldn't afford them. So I had to save up my money and save up my money. But then I didn't have like all the other like cute, trendy things to go with them. And I remember my mom said, well, just make it your own. If you don't have it, do it yourself. If it's not out there, do it yourself.
Wow.
And it literally, like as you were talking, it just that memory came back to me. Like I remember walking down Bell Boulevard with her and looking in the store window. I'm like, well, I don't have this and this. And she's like, we'll figure it out. We'll do it ourselves.
Mm,
And I don't think it was her intention to imprint that on me at that point in time in that way. But I think, and even though I hated it, because I mean, as a kid, you want to be trendy, right? You want to have all the things like when your mom says, we'll get creative, that's never a good sign.
right, right.
But I think inevitably that imprinted on me of if I don't have it, I can make it.
Mm,
If it's not out there, I can still have it in some way, but make it mine.
yeah,
And so I think combined with like not taking no for an answer, always looking for the workaround, right? Um, but also saying, well, if it's not there, then I'm going to make it myself. Those two things combined, and a little bit of mom rage or a lot of mom rage because I couldn't find something for my daughter. And that's, I think, what gave me the oomph to create Clarabelle Blue.
yeah. And now you have that book out there plus a new one, Ain't That a Mother? And I really meant what I said when I was saying to Yona about the safety, because I love the fact that we get to get a diva's voice. We get to get you. We get to get the experience of, again, not feeling like you're getting it right, not doing it right. I
Right.
mean, even going there when it comes to things like feeding your child, and that whole experience. Did you
Yeah.
know going into the book you were going to be so honest?
I knew I would be honest, right? Because that's just how I am. Like, I don't care. You want to judge me, whatever. You're not
Right.
paying the bills, so it doesn't matter, right? Also, I'm not a unicorn. So I know that if I've experienced it, someone else has
Yeah.
experienced it. I'm just the other one, either brave or dumb enough to run my mouth about it. So that's fine. What I didn't know going into it is that I would touch on some of the things that I did touch
Mm,
on. As I was writing the book, there are certain instances or situations within the story that I had never spoken about or thought about or written about until I wrote them in that book.
mm,
And it caught me off guard. It caught me off guard because I realized I hadn't even processed those things. I hadn't thought about them since they happened. I just kind of it happened and I kept moving.
Right.
So that was definitely like, oh, well, that's there now.
Right. Right. You know, May, among other things, is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month, right? And I think one of the things that comes through in this book is the importance of, and maybe the importance and the power of protecting your peace. How important has that been for you to be able to realize that your peace of mind is worth taking care of?
It's so funny that you asked me that because I was literally just talking to Yona about this before we got on our call.
Mm.
I cannot be the mother that my daughter needs me to be. I can't be the advocate that my community needs me to be. I can't be who I need myself to be for myself if I don't have peace, if I don't take some time for self care. And it's literally like a physical manifestation within my body that everything just starts to shut down.
Mm.
Everything gets inflamed. I'm uncomfortable. I get headaches. So it's imperative that I have had to learn to put some really strong boundaries in place. And the other thing that comes with putting boundaries in place is that you realize that people don't like boundaries.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn to be okay, and I'm still learning to be okay with some people not liking boundaries, especially as I move further into this role as author and the book is now out. And I'm starting to feel like everyone wants a piece, right? Everyone wants a piece. Everyone wants that photo. Everyone wants to do lunch. Everyone wants me to do this for them or that for them. And um, just saying no, like no. And I have a friend who I think he was testing me. He asked me if yesterday we could get together for a margarita. And I was like, no, I need to not people for a little bit. And he's like, oh, I'm so glad you said no.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I think, and I need people around me also who insist on my self care.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that comes across in the book, and I'm curious if you knew that because the book is about motherhood and the joys, I should mention that too, and the
Yeah.
challenges. I want to say for those who are coming in on the Amazon Live side, we appreciate you guys over there. We are speaking with Adiba Nelson. This is her book, There Ain't That a Mother. You guys can see it there in the carousel. I had the children's book highlight, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight the new book there. You guys can see it there in print, as well as a Kindle edition, which is what I have here. Amazon also wants you guys to know that Kindle is on sale this month too. So this is a perfect opportunity to get you a Kindle, get Adiba's book, and you can be able to enjoy them both as you're going throughout the rest of this month. But we're talking to Adiba about this journey for her of being able to share stories, but also to empower others. And I think too, to encourage them to be the best of themselves. In one way that you talk about that I did not expect going into this book, Adiba, was the correlation between yourself, your own power in business, and your priorities. I think one of the things that irritates me, one of the conversations that irritates me, and I don't get irritated very much, was about this whole idea of work-life balance, which I personally don't believe exists.
It doesn't.
Not the way that people discuss it. But you're very frank in the book as you're talking about relationships, as you're talking about building a business, you know, doing what that takes, about sometimes things don't get the attention, quote unquote, that others think it should get. What about that for you? That you know going in that that was going to be a part of the story you had to share, not just of being a mother, but also
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur.
I knew that I needed to tell that part of the story specifically
Hmm.
because I think there's a lot of candy-eyed dreams about out there of what relationship and business looks like.
Yeah.
And it's always this great, oh, we're gonna make it and we're gonna have each other's backs. And sometimes that's the case, right?
Right.
But I know many women whose relationships did not survive their rise in entrepreneurship because of the energy and time that it takes to really be an entrepreneur successfully. Um, and unless you have a partner who is really supportive and highly understanding and is willing to step in when you cannot and do it without judgment, without guilt or anything like that, who
Mhm.
understands that it's a team and when the team wins, we all win. When you win, the team wins. then it's just not going to work. But you have to have that. And I think we went into it with all the best intentions of that. I was very open and honest and frank about what this was going to look like. And I think sometimes you don't know how deep that water is until you're in it.
Yeah.
And then you can decide if, can I swim in this? Do I want to swim in this? Can I take a lifeboat, or do I just need to head back to shore?
Has your strength surprised even you, Adiba?
Um, in some ways, in some ways, having to leave my daughter specifically for this last trip was really difficult. But I just kept saying, this is for us. Like, we're gonna be okay. I need you to understand that this is for us. Mommy has to do this so that we can be better than we are now. And I think in the past I might have been like, you know what, let's just cancel it or take some of these days out, space it out. And it's hard on her. It's hard on her, but I have a really good support team that takes care of her when I need to travel. And then when I get back, I build in some time with her. But yeah, I think in those ways, yeah, also I'm no spring chicken. Like, I'm in my 40s and this book tour business is for the kids. Like, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of work. I mean, I love it. I feel so grateful and blessed, but Lord have mercy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love that.
This
So,
is
as we're talking about love, we're talking about motherhood, we're talking about business. I think there's also the idea of not leaving yourself behind. And I hope our audience out there, and particularly the women, but again, I keep saying going back to everyone. Because one thing I said in my review on Amazon was I think this is a book that everyone can see a piece that they can relate to, right? Because there are single dads out there too. There are also, us guys that are trying to figure it out when it comes to, work and, everything else that, that kind of comes our way. What has that been like for you to see the different types of conversations, Adiba, that are coming from Ain't That a Mother?
It's been really interesting. So on Friday, I had my hometown event, and there were men in the audience, which, I mean, I'm not surprised because women bring their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I was really amazed by some of the questions that the men were asking. Things from like, given what you went through and the stories that you tell in the book, what is the best way that men can show up for women? What are the ways that you can encourage men to be vulnerable with ourselves so that we can feel safe with our women being vulnerable with us? I mean, just really good, thought provoking questions, which I was surprised, because a lot of times, like, we live in this society where men are not allowed to be vulnerable. And if they are, they're not supposed to talk about being vulnerable.
Right.
But the fact that they were so willing and open to talk about it was really beautiful. I've also had questions about this idea of perseverance, when literally every single card is stacked against you. What does that look like in logistically speaking? What does that look like from a spiritual standpoint? And a couple of people have brought up the Roe versus Wade situation that we're facing as a country in regards to a woman's right to choose and her bodily autonomy, and what that meant for me in my journey to motherhood when I wasn't necessarily trying to become a mother. I think I missed some crucial steps there. But also what that means to the disabled community, what that means to the Black community. So I've had some really enlightening conversations.
Well, and I think that's the thing about this book. It's written, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier to Yona, Adiba. It's written in such a safe way that you can have these very tough conversations, but you're initiating it, so we don't feel like
Right.
so it's like, oh yeah, and so we can kind of just go along with you, as you're talking about these things for sure. And I think that's what makes this book, I think, so powerful. No, there are some very funny parts in it too, as well. And I think that such is life, right? Life is not just all, it's not
Right.
all, gloom and doom. There's going to be some things. But I do want to ask you this question, and I haven't seen this in an interview before, so I'm curious. How has your idea of what a happy life looks like changed?
Well, I will tell you that when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my idea of a happy life was Big house, white picket fence, 5 kids, a husband named Kevin, and a dog named Fred.
Mm.
Um, there's no way in hell you could get me to have 5 kids right now. So there's that. Absolutely not. But for me, I mean, like material things are great, right? The ability to, the privilege of traveling, because it is a privilege. The privilege of having, a nice home, nice things, nice clothes, not having to worry about, where your next meal is going to come from.
Yeah.
Those are, your built-in ideas of happiness. But I always say that happiness is a very surface level emotion,
Mm.
right? It changes. Any little thing can take happiness itself away. But joy is like deep, deep down. Like remember that song that they used to sing like back in Sunday school? I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is literally where it's at for me. I have this deep joy. And what that looks like is knowing that I am able to provide all of the things that my daughter needs from a medical, social, emotional standpoint, but also knowing that I am giving other people the freedom and the empowerment to tell their stories and speak their truth without judgment, without guilt, knowing that I'm doing what I was put on this planet to do, serving my purpose,
Mm.
um, knowing that every day I go after it little by little, and that I've been entrusted with that. Like that's a huge thing to be entrusted with your purpose and have knowledge of that. So that's where my joy comes from. Like success and joy, they look different to everyone. But
Right.
for me, it's knowing that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in the way that I'm supposed to do it that leads to a better world.
Love that. Love that. Well, I tell you, this book, this conversation, I think is so timely, Adiba, and I hope that people will read it in a way and not only, of course, be able to better understand you, but also better understand what they can have in life and also what they deserve. And I think that's the other thing. I love the fact that you're able to see what you deserve and how that may look different for everybody, but you're able to find that for yourself for sure. Again, everyone, Adiba Nelson has been our guest. The book is Ain't That a Mother? It's available now in print as well as a Kindle edition on the Amazon Live side. I'm going to highlight it again over there. Also, make sure you guys, while you're over there on Amazon, pick up a Meet Clarabelle Blue. Have it highlighted there as well. You guys can get that on Amazon. And for you, Adiba, a lot going on for you. How can our audience best stay connected with you?
Best is through Instagram. You can just follow me at Adiba Nelson, ADIBA NELSON. Also on Facebook, Adiba Nelson Writer, or through my website, thefullnelson.net. And that's THEFULLNELSON.net.
Okay. We're going to see if we can bring Yona back in. Hello, Yona. Can you hear us?
I sure
There she
can.
is. Yeah, hello, Yona. Thank you again for bringing
Hi.
Adiba by Amazon Live. I wanted to ask you, for our audience, how can they stay
Mhm.
connected with what you're doing with your company, as well as what you're working on, what you're looking
Mhm.
forward to?
Okay, well, you can follow me on at Riverchild Media on Instagram and at Riverchild Media on Facebook. Not a huge Twitter person. Um, but in terms of what's next, actually, me sitting in the author seat.
Mm,
I am a contributor to an anthology called Sacred Promises, edited by my dear former client, a former author, but dear friend, Dr. Tara Trent, who is Oprah's favorite guest of all time, and it comes out late June.
mm.
So yeah, that's the next thing for me to be in the author seat.
Well, we definitely have to have you back on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Live for that. And do you have any questions you'd like to ask of Adiba as well before we wrap up?
Yes, I do. If what would be three things that you would like people to take away from your book once they read the last word, the last page? What are the three things you would like them to take away?
Um, Faith is real. Faith is real. It will
Mm,
carry you through
mm-hmm,
every single situation. Um,
mm-hmm,
it's okay to screw up. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to get it wrong.
mm-hmm,
Like you're not a horrible human being. We all do it. We all do it.
mm-hmm,
I would say for the people who read the book who are mothers or who identify as mothers, um, it's okay to speak the truth. It's okay to say,
Mm.
I don't love this thing. It's okay to have a
Mm.
hard day and say, this day really sucked. But it's
Mm.
also to realize that even when that day really sucks, at the end of the day, if
Mhm.
everyone is still breathing, then baby, that's a win. That's a win.
Yes, it is. Indeed.
You take
Indeed.
the wins because it could have gone left any other way. So,
Amen. Powerful. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
And we definitely thank all of you for watching this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents on Amazon Live. Again, Adiba, thank you so much for stopping by. Congratulations on all the great things happening for you. Yona,
Thank
always a pleasure having you stop by, bringing us some great guests. And until next time, I'm Cyrus
Thank
Webb saying
you.
you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.